Hi and welcome to What the Fraction. My name is Lisa and today's lesson is about factorising expressions. To factorise, basically it's the opposite of expanding expressions or expanding sets of brackets. To factorise, you need to already be aware of distributive law or how to expand brackets. Make sure you have a look at my last video called Distributive Law if you need to revise how to expand brackets. The other concept that you need to be familiar with to factorise successfully is finding the highest common factor, or the HCF. Our example that you can see there, if you had to find the highest common factor of 10 and 20, you would need to think about the factors of each. So for 10, the numbers that you can multiply together to give 10 would be 1 and 10 and 2 and 5. So they're the factors of 10. And for 20, you can see the factors listed there as well. And so 20 can be divided by any of those numbers evenly. From there, we can have a look at the factors that they have in common. So you can see they both can be divided by 1 or 2 or 5, but we're looking for the highest common factor, so the one they both have in common, the highest one, is 10. Firstly, when factorising expressions, you should be familiar with how to expand. So, for example, this question here, if you're expanding it, 3 times 3 is 9, plus 3 times 4a would be 12a. Okay, so basically, for factorising, we're doing the opposite of expanding. So we would start with this, and we want to end up with this. So if you were given this expression and told to factorise it, let's look at how you would do that. So we've got 9 plus 12a. The first step is to have a look at what these two terms have in common, or the highest common factor. So what both of these can be divided by. So in this case, the 9 and the 12, they can both be divided by 3. So that tells us that the 3 is going to go outside of the brackets. We look at the first term then, which is 9. So 3 multiplied by something is going to give us that 9. In this case, that's the 3. And we know it's a plus. And the second term, 3 multiplied by something gives us 12a. Okay, so 3 multiplied by 4a would equal 12a. Okay, so you can see that is our answer there, what we began with up here. Let's look at an example. So we've got 5b plus 25. So if we were factorising this expression, you would be looking for what both of these terms have in common. So both of these can be divided by 5. So that is the number that we're going to put outside of the brackets. Then for our first term inside the brackets, 5 times something needs to equal 5b. So 5 times b would give us that 5b. It's a plus. 5 times something gives us 25. So 5 times 5. Okay, so there's our answer there. You can check that you're correct by expanding the expression. So we could go 5 times b, 5b, and 5 times 5 is 25. So we know we've got the correct answer there. Another example, this time with the takeaway there. We've got 20 take away 2f. First step, you're looking for what these two terms have in common, their highest common factor. They can both be divided by 2. So that's going to be my number outside of the brackets. I look at the first term, which is 20. So 2 times what gives me 20. We put a 10 there. And because it's a takeaway, we put a takeaway sign next. The second term which is 2f. 2 times something needs to equal 2f. So 2 times f would give us that. There's our answer. You can do a quick check, make sure you've done it correctly. So 2 times 10 is our 20, and 2 times f is 2f. We've got our takeaway matching there, so we know we're right. The best way to check that you're understanding how to factorise is to have a go at doing some questions yourself. So I would recommend pausing here, attempt those 2 questions, and then I'll go through the answers. Let's see how you went with your first practice question. First step, you find what they have in common. They both can be divided by 3, so that's our number outside of the brackets. Nice. First term, 8 multiplied by 3 gives us that 24. It's a plus, and C would go here. 3 times C equals 3C. Your second practice question, let's have a look. Both of these terms can be divided by 2. So 2 is what goes outside of the brackets. And 2 times something equals 14, which is 7. Hopefully you notice the takeaway there. So takeaway, and then 2 times something equals 2D. So 2 times D would equal 2D. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope that's helped with understanding factorising expressions. And how did you go today, Stella? High five. Good girl. Make sure you check the comments below for some more practice questions with answers.